Welcome back to Studio Classroom. I hope that you're enjoying learning all about Gabe's experience with the flash flood. Well, all this talk about flip-flops, I decided that I wanted to wear some flip-flops. Well, these flip-flops are very special because they are the flip-flops that Gabe wore when he crossed over that river 6 times in search of a waterfall that he never found. Yes, let me emphasize that. He crossed the same river or stream 6 times in search of a waterfall that he never found. Okay, friends, how is this story going to continue? Well, I guess we're just going to have to find out with our next reading.
Flash flood. Some crossings could be done individually. With others, we needed each other's help if we didn't want to get swept away. Drenched, we breathed a sigh of relief after we made the last crossing. My dad always told me to steer clear of a river when hiking in the rain, Josh said, as we hurried back down the path. Why didn't you tell us that earlier? I laughed. Would it have made a difference? Came the reply. He had a point.
OK， 接下来我们看的是 drench 这个动词。drench 是指使湿透。例如 ，we were completely drenched by the heavy rain。我们被大雨淋得湿透了。或者是 the summer rainstorm drenched the clothes I had hung in the yard。突如其来的暴风雨把我在院子里晾的衣服给淋得湿透了。或者是 it's pouring outside. If you go out now, you get drenched in 30 seconds。现在外面是倾盆大雨。如果你现在出去30秒内就会湿透。最后我们看的是 steer clear of 这个成语。steer 原本是指行驶，但是 steer clear of someone or something 是指避开或回避某人或某事。例如 I took another route to steer clear of the area that always has traffic jams。我走另外一条路避开这个常常交通阻塞的区域。或者是 he steered clear of sensitive political issues in his speech。他在演讲中避开了敏感的政治议题。And now let's get back to our teachers.
Thank you so much, Michelle. All right, so we're learning here that some of these crossings could be done individually. It's true. Some of them we could cross by ourselves. We didn't need each other's help. However, with others, we needed each other's help if we didn't want to get swept away. And yes, I do remember one time in particular, the last crossing was the most dangerous one. I was crossing over, trying to get to this big rock in the middle, and Josh had to push my butt so that I didn't get swept away with the river. And he helped Brandon too, when we finally pulled Josh across to that rock. It was crazy, Rebecca.
Gabe, it sounds really crazy. It sounds so scary. I don't know how you guys made it through. Well, you're right. Drenched, we breathed a sigh of relief after we made the last crossing. And let's talk about that word drenched. That just means you are soaking wet, right?
Well, exactly. If you went swimming, of course you are drenched. Right? You're soaking wet. You got water all over you. And of course, we didn't plan on getting drenched that day. We were just planning on going for a hike to see the waterfall. But when we got back to the car, we were drenched.
Well, I like the next words that you used. You guys breathed a sigh of relief after you made it to the last crossing. And why did you choose these particular words to breathe a sigh of relief?
That's a sigh of relief. Okay, I chose these words because that's what you do after a stressful situation when you're not sure what's going to happen. But after you make it through, you can breathe a sigh of relief. Sometimes people breathe a sigh of relief after they get their test answers, the score back, and they realize that they passed. They got a pretty good grade, and they can breathe a sigh of relief.
Yeah, excellent answer. Okay, well, if you remember, I asked a question earlier, and that was, what piece of advice did Josh's dad give? And we see that answer right here. My dad always told me to steer clear of a river when hiking in the rain. Before we talk about that, hey, Gabe, what about those words to steer clear of? That just means to stay away from the river?
Exactly. So he shared this piece of advice with us after we were already going back to the car. So after we went through the hike in the rain, he said, oh, we should have steered clear of a river in the rain. Well, why didn't he share this with us earlier? He says, would it have made a difference?
That's a good question. Well, speaking of advice, the guys in the info cloud would like to talk about this right now. So let's go there now.
Without a doubt, the most important virtue in Asian culture is what the Chinese call xiao. It means respect, obedience, gratitude, support, and service toward one's parents.
For millennia, xiao has been the virtue from which all other virtues flow. It has been the fundamental value and stabilizing force in countries like China, Korea, and Japan. In fact, many would argue that to be Asian is to be xiao.
Right. Xiao is so synonymous with Asian identity that some Asian students are surprised to learn that xiao exists in cultures outside of Asia.
It does, though for better or worse, it's not at the very top of everyone's list of virtues. In English, xiao is translated as filial piety. Filial means of a son or daughter, while piety means sense of duty or faithfulness to natural ties.
In English, both filial piety and filialness are used as nouns. For example, one of the most famous Chinese books about filial piety is The 24 Filial Exemplars.
But as an adjective, the word filial is all that is needed. So we could say, the filial son gave up his successful career as a lawyer to care for his elderly mother.
孝顺英文要怎么讲？你或许会认为孝道是东方人的观念，西方人懂吗？其实尽管西方人不是那么强调孝道，英文有孝顺这个字 ，filial piety， 像中国的24孝，英文就翻译成 the 24 filial exemplars。由此可见，光 filial 一个字就可以表示孝顺的。Steve is a filial son. He calls his parents every day. 这就是今天的 Info Cloud， 我们下次云端见。
Thank you, guys. So if you're going to go hiking in the rain, make sure it's not near a river. Make sure you steer clear of a river when hiking in the rain. That is good advice, but it's not advice that we really thought about when we went hiking that day.
And I don't think it really would have made much of a difference. Well, anyway, right now it's time for something fun and funny. It's the review skit. I don't remember. But seriously.
Yeah.
So tell me about your hiking adventure. What happened? Was it a flash flood?
Oh, yes, it was.
Oh, but you had just crossed the stream a few minutes earlier, right?
Yes, but the water had become so high and had become increasingly menacing.
Well, does this mean that the rocks you used to cross were gone?
Yes, all the visible rocks we used to get over were nowhere to be seen.
Well, what did you do?
We had no choice but to maneuver our way back.
And flip-flops, no less.
Each step had to be taken carefully in the swift current.
Oh, wow, that sounds so dangerous. Well, luckily you only had to cross the stream once.
Not once, not twice, but we crossed 6 times.
Oh, you must have been soaked.
We were all drenched. some crossings could be done individually, while others needed each other's help.
Teamwork. Hey, you know what? My dad always told me to steer clear and avoid rivers when hiking in the rain.
Really?
Yeah.
Why didn't you tell me this before?
I didn't know, but would you have listened? Would it made a difference?
I guess not.
Probably not.
And this is why I brought a surfboard this time.
Just in case of another flash flood?
That's right.
Let's just steer clear of the rivers.
Hey, Gabe, I want to go to the 彩虹瀑布.
Yeah, the 彩虹瀑布.
Yeah.
The rainbow waterfall. I'm going back there one day, just not on a rainy day.
Good point. Well, friends, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time right here on Studio Classroom.
Rebecca, before you leave,